school district last year, talking about
Right.
the pool and everything else. She got all of her efforts didn't go unnoticed. They got $8.5 million allocated in their budget to an Olympic-sized pool. And they were directed to basically engage in the conversations with city staff to see if there's a possibility of doing something together.
Wow.
Location will more than likely be right there on A Street. You've got the open field just north of Third. They said there was a softball field down there is like in disrepair. So
Right.
somewhere in that general vicinity, but they did want to start having conversations with city staff. And before they do that, obviously, I would want her to have a quick conversation with all of you before we engage in any of that, just to make sure you guys are all on board with something like that. So if possible, I would ask if we could have her for a few minutes at the beginning of the meeting.
I think as a professional courtesy, yes. Would be
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, it's 9:05, we are live.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the pre-agenda meeting of the City of Lake Worth Beach on August 1st. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Rush.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga.
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy.
Here.
Commissioner Mimi May.
Here.
Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Present.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So we were just, Jamie, you had just asked us about having Erica speak briefly at the meeting, and I think for something that it is something that affects the city and as a professional courtesy, I would say, yes, but let's hear from my colleagues.
I support that.
Okay. Good morning.
I support that.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
And Melissa, if we could add that to just, I guess, make that A under new business. I know she does have to go on Haitian radio. She said at either 6:30 or 6:45. So if we
Okay.
could possibly put her on first. And again, it's not going to be a presentation, even though it fall under presentations. Just a couple minutes to kind of, I'd ask her if she'd be able to update on basically what was discussed at their budget hearings and stuff on Wednesday.
And I think, Jamie, you said under new business, but I think you meant A under presentation.
Presentations, correct. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, great.
Thank
I mean,
you.
it's exciting that because I wondered where that went after our meeting, and I'm very glad to hear that that's something that they're thinking about.
And budget.
And budget, and actually, yeah, money towards. So, does anyone have anything to talk about the upcoming city commission agenda?
I don't think an hour is enough for us all to talk about this agenda.
I do have things, but I'll wait my turn.
Okay, and let's always be judicious of everyone's opportunities. District 1, do you have anything? Well, why don't we start with just take a few minutes each district, what you want to talk about?
I'm just going to listen to everybody else's thoughts. I've already asked staff all my questions, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I have 4 items. Try to keep them as quick and short as I can.
Thank you.
Benny's, the request to waive rent. On that one, I'm concerned about process and accountability. The backup doesn't include any detail on why we're receiving this request, and I'm concerned that I wouldn't want us as a commission to set a precedence that we have a variety of tenants that we're the landlord for. And I wouldn't want to set a precedent for a tenant saying, hey, it's the off season. I'm going to be closing for a couple months. Okay, if I don't pay rents. So I'm asking for consensus from my colleagues that we ask the tenant to provide documentation of what exactly these proposed improvements would be. So I'm looking for consensus on that.
Didn't he say it's for the Anthony?
I thought they were going to present that at the meeting.
I'd
That's
kind
my
of
impression.
I'd kind of prefer that something, that major of setting a precedent of waiving rent when we've made a lot of emphasis on we need money and we need to look to monetize.
Mr. Brown, why don't you step in unless people, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, this was a request that came from the tenant. I know at one point in time, they said they were going to submit a letter. I don't know if that was supposed to come to each of you individually, if that was going to, I told them if they did submit one, I would add it to the backup. As of right now, I've not received anything. So like I had mentioned last time, this is just, it's on the agenda because it was a request from a tenant. We obviously haven't had this before. When the item comes up, this is nothing staff's going to be presenting. I'm going to invite the tenant up to the podium and they can give a presentation or go through their whole scope or everything that's going on. So you guys can ask whatever questions. But, unfortunately, this isn't, it's not really a staff item. So I'm not really sure from the backup standpoint, other than what the actual lease payment is. And then you obviously have the CAM that's separate than that. But other than that, there's really not much staff can
Right.
provide.
No,
I mean, it's the HVAC. And
I
they're,
understand that the staff wouldn't provide the backup. I'm requesting consensus from my colleagues that request that the person asking for this favor provide written backup for us prior to the meeting. And, my colleagues can weigh in however they want.
Mr. Segrich.
I do understand the request. I think it would have been nice, but also we've discussed this and had it for a little while. I've spent 2 hours over there actually reviewing the project physically, like going over, walking through and asking all of my questions of the tenant themselves. I also asked staff extensively. So although there's not a written piece of backup in there, it was my impression they would come and give a small presentation to the public so that they can gain an understanding. But I'm satisfied with the amount of information that I was given on this to make a decision.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, ma'am, I had my hand up, but then I
Oh,
accidentally lowered it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm driving. I had actually sent to staff last week asking what the total of their lease contract was and what the financial impact was on this, because there was no financial analysis attached to it. And I did not receive that yet. But I have gone over their proposal with the owner.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next, Chris?
Okay, so just to be clear, I asked for consensus for written documentation and I'm not getting it.
I think that, wait, excuse me, to be fair, I think that I don't think that your request is unreasonable. I think it's a little late in the day, late in the game.
It should have been provided by the person requesting at the time of the request in time for the backup. That's not my responsibility that they didn't provide it on time.
No, but you've had plenty of opportunity to ask for that.
Ask them or to talk to them.
They can still provide it, but I'm getting clear clarification that that's not what the consensus wants. Okay, can we get an update on what happened?
Mr. Segrich, was that a comment? Okay, did you shake your hand and comment about that or some?
It was very quick about that. I don't have any problem asking them if they can provide something. I just wouldn't want to push it to another meeting.
So maybe we can call Mr. Brown?
yeah, I can reach out today to the tenant Dylan and see if there's anything they can provide in writing. I can obviously make that request. And when you look at the fiscal analysis that's in the actual backup, all we did from a staff perspective was just show the rent, the patio cost based on the square footage and the CAM. That's really all we can do. So you guys know exactly on a monthly basis what that would cost. And if you notice, it's broken out by September and October because October 1st, those numbers change. So it actually goes up, the cost goes up in October. So that's why you're looking at two different numbers and they're not the same from month to month.
Thank you.
But I'll make that request. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Next,
Okay,
Chris.
thanks. All right. Appreciate the help. On the W Moda parking, I have put in a repeated request to William Waters for detailed accounting of the parking requirements for each portion of the larger W Moda project. I hope that I will receive that before the meeting. Really explicit, like what is the building use? What does our code say for square feet of X use, blah, 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 how many parking? So I've requested that. I've requested it many times in the past. I have not received a full accounting. I've requested it again. On the 13th Avenue right-of-way, could we expand what's in the backup for Tuesday to have an explicit measure of the area that we are being asked to give away? and a monetary valuation of that parcel, however one might want to do it, any scheme that one might have. I understand that we cannot charge for what we give away, but I think it's important for us to know approximately what value are we giving away, and a full listing of the public benefits that now or could in the future be provided by keeping this parcel in public ownership, because we specify that this is for the public health benefit, welfare of somebody. And so I'd like to see a full listing of what we believe those public benefits, if we keep it, are, so we know what we're giving away.
Well-
I'd like consensus from my colleagues to have that added to the backup for that one.
Sarah?
Thank you. I'm a little frustrated with this, Mr. McVoy. We all get the agenda at the same time. And for you to be putting this on staff on Friday before a Tuesday meeting, when you have had ample time to request this, you can CC all of us and just say not respond to all, so we all know what your requests are. But for you to put these kind of demands on staff on a Friday before a Tuesday heavy meeting, I don't think is fair.
I think these are items that should have been in the backup.
Then
anyhow.
you should have asked for it when you got your agenda book 10 days ago.
And it's been on the agenda before and removed. So, all right. Ms. May,
Yep.
Ms. May?
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just, going to the resolution, the new business G, the abandonment. Can I just ask a logistical question on that? Maybe Jamie knows the answer to that, or if we have an attorney on. It says we're setting a public hearing to consider the intent to abandon. So can somebody explain the process to me on that? Because if we don't set the hearing, are we saying we don't intend to abandon it and it goes away right now? Or legally, do we have to set a hearing? Like, I'd like to know how this works before we get to that meeting.
Okay.
We do have Elizabeth on, by the way.
Elizabeth? Elizabeth?
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself. The controls were not showing up.
That happens.
Correct. That is your abandonment process in your code is a two-step process. The first step is for the commission to adopt a resolution that sets the public hearing to consider the abandonment. And then the public hearing is noticed and it comes back. And in the public hearing setting, you would hear more detailed information, you would hear testimony and, have public comment. It's a public hearing.
So this
And
is the same
then you
thing
would decide.
we did with the AutoZone?
Correct.
Right.
So so it's kind of the same confusion as we had then.
Well, it says to set the public hearing. That's all.
No, I understand that, but I mean, we've obviously all seen Facebook. I've gotten a lot of phone calls to a lot of people, and we might want to consider looking at this two-step process again, because it's coming back again to where you're getting some information to set the hearing, and then you set the hearing, and it just seems a little bit redundant, honestly.
I think, okay, Elizabeth?
So if you decide at this stage not to adopt this resolution setting the public hearing, that is correct. The process ends here.
Is that legal?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. This is your decision. It is public right of way, and it's your decision on whether you even want to consider the request to abandon or not.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
And we have all heard, I'm sure, loud and clear about the public's feelings about this. So let's govern ourselves accordingly. Mr. Segrich?
Thank you, Mayor. So as somebody who was confused about this process before, I'm very glad that we did add the clarity and change the wording to clearly state that this is purely setting a meeting. It's not making a decision as to our intent for or against. In this particular case, I would like to encourage us all to consider setting the meeting, because I feel that the petitioners have been aggrieved and they have some very legitimate items to discuss. that will have bearing on how we as a city move forward policy wise, as well as integrating with PBSO and understanding what it's going to take to make sure that these kinds of spaces are healthy, safe spaces for all. I respect Mr. McVoy's request for that information. I would be comfortable receiving that information at the part 2, which as I've been educated, is where it is more appropriate. I would like to add to that a request that we have a listing of all the calls for service to PBSO for the property to the north and south, as well as that particular easement, and the disposition of those calls. And, you know, I just would really encourage you guys to, you know, I understand the public feels very strongly about this. I do not believe all 577 people in that petition actually understand the full background behind this. There's been a little bit of misinformation out there. And I believe the residents there deserve to be heard. Whether we make a decision for or against, that's up to us and up to, you know, public opinion and so on. But I would just say, let's get this one over with. We don't want to delay it again. I have enough information to decide whether or not I want to actually hear this petition, and I do want to hear this petition. And I would just say, let's try to put all of that back up, like Mr. McVoy requested, in the public hearing section, because I think the public is very interested in those numbers, and the numbers that I asked for.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so,
Madam Mayor, I was actually not done with my list. I
well,
had one more.
Segwich was talking about what you were talking about, so.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I support his additional request. That seems very
Well,
reasonable.
that's so, I mean, it was explained to us about the AutoZone thing. I mean, this is really just, despite the emotion involved, this is really just setting a hearing. So it's not quite as,
So the other 3 times it was on was the same thing? Setting the hearing?
That's correct.
they withdrew it. They withdrew it.
I know, but it seems silly to withdraw the setting the hearing. Whatever, okay.
Okay, Mr. McVoy, you want something else?
Yeah, my last one. Thank you for your patience. And I'm glad we have these pre-agenda meetings. I believe that's what they were for, is to provide information requests or, you know, other things prior to the meeting. Could we get an update on what happened at the HRPB meeting? We had a quite complicated meeting of our own of the city commission relating to the garage, and then the next day, and there were a bunch of things that were changed on the fly. I have not seen the meeting minutes up. They might be up this morning, but they weren't up as of last night. And I'm concerned because I had sort of understood that if structures are on the National Historical Registry and they're in a historic district, that there'd be quite a bit of a process and justification, presumably written, before they are sent off to the chopping block for demolition. So what I would also, in addition to an update, which would be nice if we got it now, on what happened at the HRPB meeting, what is the official rationale that I can share with interested constituents on how we are protecting or not protecting our historic district? And that's it for me.
Thank you. Okay.
Nice background, by the way, Mayor.
Lake Champlain never fails. Thank you. Although someone had to give me a sweater because I was so cold. It's really cold.
You're not getting hardship pay for the sweater.
I'm
sorry.
not complaining. I am not complaining. It's just now I'm like, it's too short. I always come back from meetings. I'm like, I should just stayed a few extra days. That's okay. So who's next? Mr. Brown has his hand up. And Anthony has his hand. Mr. Brown?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, we have both Annie and Scott on from Community
Okay.
Sustainability. I don't know if Annie or Scott, if one of you guys want to give like a really quick
That would be
summary of that HRPB meeting.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is Annie. So HRPB approved 4 certificates of appropriateness at their meeting. They approved new construction for the museum and residential building designs. They approved the COA for demolition of 501 Lake Avenue. And then they approved revised COAs for relocation of both 17 South M Street and 26 South L Street. The revisions to those COAs were really in the conditions of approval. So those conditions of approval basically say that the applicants, which is primarily the CRA, as they own both of those properties and the structures on them, need to make all possible attempts to relocate the structures within the city. It did not say exactly what site they would go to, so we did condition that they would bring the proposed sites for relocation to the HRPB for their review. And then if no feasible relocation sites have been identified and approved prior to the issuance of the new construction building permits for WMOTA for the 17 South M Street and 26 South L Street properties, then they would be demolished. So we modeled it off of the original 2019 L&M COAs. In terms of that pattern of all possible attempts. If that doesn't work, then we get to demo.
So the time frame is not a time frame of a date, but of a condition.
Correct. Yep. And that was something that Renee had explained to the board at the meeting, that their, anticipated timeline is, I think it was like 8 months after entitlement approvals is when they want to have their permits through and approved.
And was this conditioned on the person moving the houses paying for them, or what was that? How did that work?
Payment was not part of our conditions of approval. So the approval here doesn't really change any sort of payment structure that was set in like the development agreement, if that's kind of what you're asking.
Okay. And are we going to set out and this is a request to the world of who wants these buildings and move them, please?
So unlike the 2019 L&Ms, this doesn't have the requirement to do, the RFQ or anything like that. You could, it just says that the applicants, which CRA and kind of the city in this case, shall make all possible attempts. So if that's, what you all chose to do, you could, but yeah.
That answers my question. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. So thank you. Anything else on that subject or any other subject? I'm opening up to the floor. Mr. McVoy's got did his floor, and Mr. Segrich has his hand up.
So these two things should be quick. They're not on the agenda, but I wanted to see if there was consensus to set a priority on something that we had set consensus on to discuss, and that is analyzing the types of businesses downtown, buffer zones, distances between like kinds of businesses downtown. Specifically dealing with some of the influx of the hookah, the pop-up clubs, smoke shops, and so on. I know there's a lot of complexities in and around tobacco and so on, but THC opens some things up, and other cities have very good regulations in and around this. I've been getting a ton of complaints from downtown business owners. And I feel that this is almost an emergency level because it's getting worse by the day.
I'm going to turn this over to our attorney.
Okay.
Elizabeth, there you go.
Thank you. Good morning.
You're welcome.
Again. So we had started looking into the regulation of certain businesses, particularly related to Kava, when this came up a few months ago, and have found a couple different ways that different jurisdictions are regulating Kava and related substances. And so one is through distance kind of thing, similar to how the city's alcohol distance requirements are set up. And so we're happy to pursue that if that's the direction the commission wants to go.
My understanding was we couldn't regulate them. So I mean, that's great news if that's what you're saying. Are we talking about, what are we talking about? Vape shops?
This was particular to CABA. We cannot regulate the vape shops. And then there was another question on hookah bars, and I have not had a chance to research that question yet.
Okay, so you're looking into, can we regulate even by distance waivers, distances, hookah bars? Hookah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, I know I see your hand is up.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to Anthony for bringing this up. I'm the one who asked about this a couple months ago, and I have been in communication with Elizabeth in regards to ATF and them being the ones who basically have control over the hookah. But I think that we need to bring this conversation back, and whatever teeth we can put to it, we need to do it immediately. There are shops popping up all over the place, and it's downgrading our downtown, and it's not bringing any good business.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I'm fine with the analysis. I think the idea of distance analysis is reasonable. So yeah, let's look at it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anthony, for bringing it up. And thank you, Elizabeth, for staying on it. Anything else, Anthony? You have your hand up.
So specifically on it, we had already discussed making it a something that we're looking into. I really would like consensus for us to make this a top priority.
Well, I mean, all right. I mean, Elizabeth, when can you bring us something back?
I will be working on it next week.
Okay.
Okay. Adding to that list also.
Wait, I see Mimi's hand up.
Can I just chime in on
Sure.
this? I 100% in agreement. I just wanted to, when there's like the sign, we could do some of the sign rules as well. I mean, I think that there are some downtown signage ordinances that might prevent some of the advertising of this. They've got the sandwich boards that say like THC on them, and if you're advertising THC, I don't know the intricacies of what level of THC is legal, illegal, but there should be other ways. We talked about the window decorations, like we could be really annoying, and I think that's helpful as well. But as far as and I think PBSO might be able to help too, because I think there may be some illegal activity happening in some of these places, above and beyond what is it advertised as what's happening.
Okay, Elizabeth?
Thank you. So I just want to make sure that when you are thinking about signage, you understand that signage regulations have to be content neutral. So you can prohibit sandwich board signs, but that prohibits it for every business. And you can regulate how much window signage you can have, but you can't regulate what it says. So there are some particularities with signage, and you have to think about what type of signage you want in your downtown and what type of signage you don't want, not what it says.
But do we have ordinances in place already regarding signage?
Just the amount of window, I think. Elizabeth?
I'm not sure, and maybe Annie or Scott could talk about some of the particular signage types, but I know there are regulations as to like how much window coverage you can have, and I can't remember if it prohibits sandwich boards or not, but those things, if they're prohibited, you could be enforcing that prohibition.
Right. I had tried to fight years ago the neon sign in the window, those rope neon signs, and this is when I was the attorney, and I got nowhere with it. It just nobody wanted to hear it. Maybe your hand's still up.
Yeah, I'm just I'm not saying that we need to change any of our ordinances, but I would like to look at what do we already have so that we can use what we have on the books already if it's something we choose to, pursue.
And to add to that, are we enforcing what we
Anthony
have?
has his hand up, Mr. McBoy.
Okay.
I'm calling him next, and then I'll call on you when you put your hand up. Anthony,
To add
Sarah.
to that, some of the other products that are going on, we have synthetic kratom going on, which is very dangerous. A lot of these places are doing BYOB, staying open, past
Of course,
serving
yeah.
alcohol, and acting like they have an entertainment license without an entertainment license. So there's a lot there.
That's right.
That's all I have on that.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, your hand's up.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. You know, the hard part is if you watched the special magistrate hearing yesterday, you know, we send code enforcement out to code and violate these individuals. And then they have the length of time that code gives them, and then they go before the special magistrate and he either gives them more time or waives everything. So we really need to have a hard look at the process because our staff is wasting their time. Because they're going out, they're writing the citations, they're following protocol, it goes to special magistrate, and then I've been saying for a year that we need to look at our special magistrate and have a conversation with him that he can't just waive all these violators. It's not getting us anywhere.
Thank you. Chris and then Mimi.
Mine was just to add to Mimi's that let's review what our rules, ordinances, regulations, whatever are, and review how we're enforcing them.
Thank you. Anthony, your hand's up, and Mimi then.
I was just going to add to that. A lot of cities have adopted a 3-strike rule with some of this stuff, where it's not so dependent on time to cure, because there is no time to cure. You're doing an illegal activity. You get caught 3 times, you lose your business license.
Have you read our nuisance abatement ordinance?
I have, but our nuisance abatement, it takes a lot for us. I think in this case, we may want to explore specifically spelling out related to some of these activities, the timeline. And that's how a number of municipalities has been successful at leveraging state law to work on some of these businesses that we're not allowed to regulate. So state law is pretty powerful here.
Anthony, it'd be really helpful if you've got examples of what other cities are doing, if you share them with us.
Sure, I will do that.
Yeah, because why reinvent the wheel if there's something out there? Mimi?
I kind of want to go back to what Sarah said regarding the magistrate, because I've been saying the same thing. I think that I don't remember his last name, but I call him Bowtie Guy, Keith. And he does that every single time, and it's very frustrating for staff. It would be like when I finally get to the point where I need to discipline a kid and send him to the principal's office, and they give him a lollipop and send him back. It's extremely disrespectful to all the work that staff does. And I think we need to seriously look into that, because I think those magistrates are hired by the city, correct?
Yep.
So I almost higher than what Anthony's saying here. I think that's a priority, because we have been talking about that for a really long time. So I want to go on record saying we need to do something with the magistrate, because I feel horrible for staff who calls and says, I can't do my job, and just have it negated. And I get that. To my soul, I get that, because it happens to people all the time.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Today's my day.
You are. I'm glad you're here.
So just so you all know, the city typically has at least 2 to 3 magistrates on contract at any time, and we rotate their appearances. And we are currently looking for more applicants. And so we will be hopefully bringing a couple 1 or 2 contracts to you soon to add more to the rotation. And so we'll see how that works out.
Thank you. Anthony, and then Mimi again. Anthony?
Yep, not on this topic. I just had a second item, which deals with the Business Advisory Board. I know they're no longer meeting monthly. We have quorum issues, and I think because they do serve at the pleasure of the commission, I think we need to look at that the way we looked at the CRA board, make some changes, and get them back meeting monthly. Because some of these issues that we're talking about right now, I think having a well-established, healthy business advisory board could help us guide us with some of these issues.
I thank you. And I along with those same lines of the business, you know, the business, I don't know that we either gave them much guidance as to what their job is. You know, I think we need to sort of reassess that board and take a look at what are we expecting from them, how they can help, you know, to have a conversation, because right now it's like, here's the board, there's people downtown and go meet. And I don't think we've really helped them. I mean, the quorum thing is an issue. The fact that they're not meeting, is an issue, but I think we can help them with a little bit guidance as well.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I met with several of them and, you know, they shared their reasons why the meetings were not being held, and we can talk about that, but I just like to get consensus to have this be a discussion item for ourselves.
Sure. Yep. Thank you. Any consensus, Chris, Sarah, Mimi?
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're gonna do that, we might as well do the other boards. We've been talking about that forever. So, Melissa, do you know when this stuff is coming back?
What do you mean, board appointments, Mimi?
Yes.
Okay, I also want to dig into like the reason for the board, but yeah, where are we at with that time wise, Miss Clerk, Madam Clerk?
So we are working on one ordinance for all the boards rather than having multiple. It's going to be a slog the first time through, but eventually it's going to be a time saver. So I think it'll be on a September meeting, the first reading. And then at that time, you can flesh out parameters for the boards if any are missing. Actually, the Business Advisory Board is only set to meet every other month, not monthly.
Based on their decision, though, not based on any ordinance.
No, based on, I'm pretty sure it's in the
Decision.
Okay, well,
okay, I could check, but I'm almost positive it's in the ordinance of the reso.
okay.
However, at your direction, it could change, and also it could change in this ordinance.
Is there a way, Melissa, for us to see what you're working on before it comes to us at first hearing?
Sure.
Because I think that if we don't have to recreate it after the first hearing for the second hearing, that would be better.
Right.
Sure. I'm giving it one last go through, and then I'm sending it to the liaisons, see if they have any comments on the boards that they work on. So once that happens, I'll send a copy to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And if you could send us the Business Advisory Board, you know, what we did to form and what, you know, where it's.
Yeah, I
described,
have
that would be
either the
helpful.
reso or the it's hard for me to keep track because some are resolutions, some are ordinances. But yes, I will send that to you after the meeting.
Thank you. Sarah, Mr. Brown, I see your hand is up, but let's just have Sarah have her comment first. Sarah?
Melissa kind of covered it. It was set to meet every other month, and the Business Advisory Board, the last two meetings, they had a successful attendance, the ones that they did have in regards to parking and what the parking downtown would look like. I do know that Jamie is the liaison representing the city on the Business Advisory Board.
Right.
But I agree, because a lot of these things that we're doing, I would like their opinion on. That's why, you know, I wanted to create this board so we knew what the businesses support and what they don't support.
Yeah, and I think it also should be people from just not downtown. I mean, it's the whole city, but that's another story. Mimi? I think we ignore the people on Dixie Highway a little too much.
I think we ignored
Mimi?
I think we should ignore my hand. I just didn't put it down.
Oh, okay. Anything else, anybody? Mr. Brown, your hand was up, but you took it down.
Oh, yeah, they're kind of covered it. I was just going to go over how it was set every other month, but I believe the language says it can meet monthly if necessary more often. And this started back when the previous city manager was here as kind of liaison, but the way it's currently set up is they set the agenda and they kind of organize everything on the meeting. The only thing that the city manager's office does is basically secure the date and the actual location. Right. The last two have been like downtown, like in the back area of Irish Brigade. But other than that, you know, there are some quorum issues, but all we can do is kind of reach out and Shona will send out an email to everyone, seeing who's available for that particular meeting, and depending on the responses she gets back, either that meeting takes place or it doesn't. So,
and because if it's only every other month now and they're not having meetings, that means 3 months have gone by before, that's unfortunate.
And we've
Okay,
had to slide before too, like if 1 month people aren't able to meet, we'll have to slide it to the next month. So it's not like
Right.
it's every even month or every odd month. So it
Right.
depends.
okay. I don't have a clock available to me, so I don't know what time it is. I see Melissa's hand and Mimi's hand up. Melissa, let's start with you.
Thank you. I did send everybody as directed the proclamations to consider so I'm sending them the month before so that I either get consensus to add them or don't get consensus to add them. So I'm sending them the afternoon before the pre-agenda workshop. So we have 3 proclamations I would need consensus for to add to the 2 meetings in September.
And what are they? Oh, you sent them out?
So-
You emailed them to us?
Yes, I
Yeah,
emailed it to everybody yesterday. So the first meeting in September, National Recovery Month. So that is a proclamation that was requested by a former commissioner, and it sort of tied in with a presentation from the Recovery Hub, which has since opened. There is no presentation from the Recovery Hub. And then for the September 6th meeting, Hispanic Heritage Month, which the month is actually from September 15th to October 15th, not from September 1st to the 30th. And then Constitution Week.
I see hands up. Mimi and then Anthony?
So the other one that we talked about was the National Overdose Awareness Month, that date.
That's on an August agenda. That's been added. I don't remember whether it's the 5th or the 19th, but I
think
go
it's
by
this-
when the event is or when the month is, the week, the day. I
Okay.
don't remember, but it definitely has been added, Commissioner May.
Okay, so that's the August 19th. So then do we need to, I mean, as somebody in recovery, I'd like to celebrate it all the time, but if we just talked about overdose, we're kind of talking about recovery. It might be a little redundant then to do September as National Recovery Month. I'd be okay with removing that one.
Okay. Anthony?
I'm in agreement with Commissioner May. I would give consensus to National Hispanic Heritage Month. I don't see I see the one as redundant, and I don't see the bearing of Constitution Week. We don't have a presentation. We don't have anyone doing something special for it. I think we should just stick to the National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Ditto.
Chris?
I don't know too much about the content of the Constitution Week. I think it's probably a good idea for us to affirm support for the Constitution. So without knowing any more, I think that's fine to have on. But I'd be happier if I knew a little bit more about it. I saw the listing. I don't know if there was any backup related to it when the request came.
I can send the proclamation to you. Last year, these were on consent.
Right.
They were not, because there was no one to accept them. They were on consent, so. But I can send the proclamations to everyone, the Constitution Week. It's commemorating the institution of the Constitution.
Which these days, yes.
1770, whatever, 1787, 1778, whatever year it was.
Actually, I don't know, we might have some people interested actually in coming in and being there for that presentation. I think the Constitution is going to be the basis for everything that we do, so I don't want to just poo-poo it. I'm
Yeah,
fine with,
I would agree.
I'm fine with the, heritage and the redundancy. I mean, someone can make a distinction that there's a difference between overdose between the two, but I'm fine with having it one time. Mimi?
Well, I want to talk about something else. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. How are we time-wise? I have no idea.
It's about
It's
11.
9:49, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
So
thank you.
do I have consensus then to add proclamations for Hispanic Heritage Month and Constitution Week?
I would say
Consent.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I will send the Constitution Week proclamation to everyone Should I put that, well, Madam Mayor, you said if somebody's coming, then I would put that under presentations. Those
Well,
are
I don't
both-
know. We can always pull it off consent. What day or what meeting are we talking
It
about?
would, so both of those would be on the September 16th meeting?
Why don't we put it on as a presentation and
Right, we could always pull it if nobody's there.
yeah, and
put it
we'll,
on
and we'll
consent.
try to make some attempt to get somebody to come.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mimi, what's up?
Well, I think we need to discuss the meeting that was not from Monday. So we have chosen not to go forward with a search firm for a city manager. I think we do need a full-time city manager. I don't know the process to do that in the situation that we are in. I mean, I think we probably have consensus to make Jamie the full-time city manager. How do we go forward with that? What do we do?
Jamie, I see your hand is up. Am I wrong?
I'm
Is
sure
it-
you put it down right
Oh,
away.
yep. Sorry about that. My camera kept freezing on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you-
I've heard of, in regards to that meeting, the evaluation and recruitment meeting on Monday night. Obviously, I wasn't present in person at the meeting, but I listened to it, and I've heard some things this week, and even one-on-ones the following day. But based on those conversations that following day, and kind of the conversation that I was kind of told what I should and should be doing with different departments and everything. For clarity, I thought I should mention something so we're all on the same page, because not everyone currently on the dais was here when the former city manager was relieved of their duties. When accepting that interim city manager position, which is, I guess, as of today, 20 months ago now, seems like it hasn't been that long. But my objective was clear, and it hasn't wavered. Staff was reeling. My focus was to elevate and maintain staff morale and keep the wheels on the bus and keep that bus moving forward at a steady pace, and begin addressing a lot of these issues that had really become stagnant. What I was not going to do, and what I have not done as interim, is institute a new set of policies and procedures and operational performance measures and so on and so on and so on at the department level across all departments. That's why I rely so heavily on the expertise of our department directors. Obviously, whoever holds this permanent position, in addition to, we have our one joint directors meeting every Wednesday. They're going to need to put in, these weekly one-on-ones with each department director so they can really drill into each department. In addition to that, we still have our strategic plan that needs to be updated and gone through. It'd be great to have like a workshop or a retreat or a summit, preferably outside of the formal, setting of the commission chamber, to really start incorporating some of this stuff along with team building. And I could go on and on with different initiatives, but the point is that these are not tasks for an interim position. There just simply isn't enough time in the day. Those are tasks for whoever is sitting in this office as the permanent city manager. I feel people sometimes also forget that I'm also still running the second largest department of the city. Burning candle at both ends, working late nights, even on non-meeting nights. I'm here on weekends. I spend a lot of time away from the wife and kids, but I never complain about it. That being said, and the 14 years I put in as a public servant here to the residents and business owners of the community, attending neighborhood association meetings, speaking, presenting, whatever I'm asked, I'm always available. To be clear, based on what I heard on Monday night at that shortlisting meeting, I'm not going to battle on a weekly basis with any electeds or try. I've dedicated too much of my life, my professional career to the city to deal with that. Perhaps the best course forward, for what it's worth, in my opinion, is maybe you guys need to utilize that meeting that's currently scheduled for the actual selection of the search firm to continue the meeting that was last Monday night. I've just put in a lot of time and dedication, and I'm just trying to do the best I possibly can to move the city forward. But I really don't want to deal with the headache of being kind of brought to task on things that, you know, I wasn't even there in person. So those are just my thoughts, and apologies that I kind of became the root of an argument at Monday night's meeting.
Sarah.
Jamie, thank you for that. It wasn't that you were, there was not any argument. It was just that there were 3 of us on the board who think that you are doing a fantastic job. Staff morale is high after we've been through a lot of change. And I made the motion because it's very clear that you shouldn't have to apply for the position. If we think that you're doing a great job, we should offer you the position. I apologize if there any elected person on this body berated you or brought any hurt upon you or any bad feelings, because I think you're doing a phenomenal job. You know, for those who are newly elected, you need to take a step back and realize what the city has gone through in the last 4 years. And staff morale is one of the #1 things that we had to focus on. And Jamie, you've done a great job with that. I support any decision that you make in regards to your profession.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Sarah. And I think that having seen what happened to Carmen would probably chill, is a chilling factor. You know, we gave her a raise in the summer and fired her 4 months later. So I would hire Jamie today, because I think he's done a fabulous job.
So would
and
I.
we do
So
know
would
what.
I. I'm just saying, I don't want to sit here in limbo. I want to bring this out to the light. Let's talk about it, because if we're going to hire Jamie, which I think we should, let's get him out of public works. Let's get him a real contract. Let's move forward. Let's have him be the boss.
But it sounds like now that after Monday's meeting, some elected officials went in and were not very kind to him and had, you know, conversations that shouldn't have been had. And now it sounds to me like Jamie's, you know, he doesn't want to be browbeaten. I don't blame him.
No.
And if I
Well,
could,
everybody's hands. I got a lot of hands up. I want to go to Elizabeth right now because she might have something to add.
Thank you. I just wanted to address Commissioner May's question on how to move the process forward. So as far as the selection process through the competitive solicitation that you have issued, you have a next meeting scheduled to continue that process. And that was the motion of the selection committee, was to continue that process at that next scheduled meeting. Or if we can get one scheduled before that, at that other scheduled meeting. The only other process that you would do outside of the selection committee meeting that is already scheduled is to have the conversation that you're having here on whether you want to just hire Mr. Brown flat out.
Okay.
Because that is outside of that selection process.
Right. So we would have to okay. So, but we could take action to do that if we wanted.
Correct.
Okay. Now, and my thought is, and again, having lived through Jamie's, you know, the 4th city attorney manifestation we've had, my concern for Jamie is the vulnerability that position brings with it. And that's for, I don't know how we deal with that. But I think that's a definite concern. He's been here 14 years. He's done a yeoman's job to the city. And, you know, does he want to step into a position where, for better or for worse, he could lose his position at the whim of 3 people? And that's scary. So that I just want to put that in there as a consideration. And if there's a way that we could deal with that, we might want to talk about dealing with that particular situation. But
it sounds to me like Jamie, you know, he just stated that he really, you know, he doesn't really want the position because of the way that he was treated on Monday.
yeah, well,
And I don't blame him. If he was mistreated on Monday by anybody on this board, you know, that's something that board member has to sit with.
yeah. And well, I mean, Carmen was hideously mistreated often. Whose hands up? Jamie, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm not saying, and if it came up, I'm not saying I was mistreated at all. I'm just saying there were conversations that were had, you know. It just gave me some thoughts. So ultimately, you guys just would need to decide how you would want to move forward. I know Ocean Ridge they had an interim manager for 4 months. she liked working for them. They liked her. They just offered her a contract. And decided to save the money on the whole selection process and all that other stuff. So cities do this. It's just a matter of what you guys want to do as far as going through a process or not. And I know it was stated on Monday night, but I have never given a different answer as far as if I've been asked would I apply for the position. The answer's still the same. No, I would not. I would not apply for a position I've been doing for the better part of 2 years now.
Okay.
And that answer has never changed. And
Thank
if
you.
it was supposed today, I still wouldn't, so. I just
Well,
wanna make
that's
sure that was
because
clear
you,
as well.
that's because as I said on the dais, Jamie,
Right.
you've done the application for the last 20 months.
Exactly.
And I would never, never, ever ask you to apply. We should come forward and we should have offered you the opportunity and worked it out through HR.
And I did speak with a lot
I
of
agree.
my colleagues in the, the FCCMA, the manager, city and county managers. I asked a lot of people and they all overwhelmingly had the exact same answer.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't apply for it either.
Right.
I mean, it's just kind of a professional thing.
It's a bit of an insult, actually.
Yeah, I didn't have a single person tell me they would, so.
Right. Okay, Chris, and then Anthony.
Yes, I would reiterate, agree strongly with what was said by Vice Mayor Malega and the Mayor Rush. I admire what Mr. Brown has done. I think the appropriate thing to do would be to offer him the position and let's save the money on the search. Let's get on with it. He has raised morale. He has moved a huge number of things forward. As we all know, the reason you have a 5-member board or a 7-member board is to bring a diversity of ideas. And one of the challenges for any city manager is how do you negotiate the differing priorities and requests and whatnot? That's not easy. And nobody is going to get exactly what they want. Hopefully there is a collective decision that gives some guidance that we achieve consensus on. So yeah, I'm concerned of what kind of discussions were had also, but I'm strongly in favor of let's move forward with offering Mr. Brown the position.
Mr. Segridge.
So to be clear, it was said that 3 members of the dais think that Jamie is doing a fantastic job. I would say that's probably 5. I certainly don't think Jamie is doing a bad job. I think he's doing a great job as the interim city manager, which, as Jamie pointed out, is vastly different than the full-time city manager. Jamie clearly pointed out there are things he is not doing, specifically because that's the job of the full-time city manager. So to say that for the last 2 years he's been doing the job of the full-time city manager, it's just not true. And even Jamie said it earlier in this conversation. He hasn't been, because he's pulled between 2 different departments. He's keeping the wheels on the bus, which he's doing a fantastic job. But the job of the full-time city manager is different. In my opinion, we are asking someone to head our city. It's a $215 million budget. And for them to say, I don't want to interview for it, that doesn't make me very comfortable. I'm sorry. I know it's different from your guys' opinion, but I would never promote someone within without actually interviewing them. And if I was going to go do a job, I wouldn't accept it unless I understood the expectations of the people that I was going to work for. So we talk about metrics and things like that. And I guess some people on the dais think asking for metrics is being mean. It's not. We have a serious job to do. We have a city it's getting in better shape, but from the budget and the projections, we've got some scary things on our horizon. I believe truly that the residents and citizens and voters of this city absolutely deserve for us to go through this process. And for me, if somebody doesn't want to interview in that process, that's a huge red flag. It just is. I can't get past it.
Well, one of the things that Jamie said is that one of the reasons hasn't done the kinds of things that the city manager does is because he is the interim city manager. And I think he is fully prepared and fully capable of doing those things when and if he becomes the full-time city manager. Out of respect for the position, he's not done the things that would have happened had he been the full-time. So
That's, he's.
and
agree.
Anthony, I
he's
really,
not
when you
wrong.
say that, the citizens deserve a lot of things. And one of them is, I think, to just counterpoint, the citizens deserve a person to lead the city who is trusted by staff, who you don't know what this place was like 4 years ago. The staff morale was terrible. It was on a downside. He has picked us up. We have had more things that we've accomplished, you included, since you came on, we've been pushing forward, and he has absolutely been driving that bus to get
I'm not saying he's not doing.
artificial
a good
turf,
job.
blah, blah, blah. He's done a
I'm not
lot.
saying
And
he's
so
not
we,
doing a
all
good
right, we just disagree on that one. All right, let's just disagree. We're not going to argue. You've made your statement. We've all made our statement. So someone needs to either, pick up the ball and run with it and make a suggestion, not here, but at some point, and see where we go with it, because I think it's I think we have
But I'm afraid of not here at some point.
what?
I'm afraid of that
right.
statement, not
Well,
here at some point.
Do we
like-
want to, well, if someone wants to, make a motion, or that we add it to the agenda, happy to entertain a motion.
I move that we put on to,
No
whenever-
motions, only consensus, Madam Mayor.
Yeah,
Sorry.
all right, sorry.
I
Consensus.
consent.
I
Consensus
consent.
for HR to work out a contract possible for us to review with Jamie.
Sarah,
I
that's
consent.
Sarah. Okay, Mimi
Yeah,
and Anthony, you obviously disagree.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So there is consensus to go forward with that. And we have plenty of time, because the October date is, if, things don't work out, we have that October date set. Okay, what time is it?
over.
10:05.
What?
It's
10:05.
10:10.
Okay, so I think we need to end, because we've always been pretty good about the hour.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we need one? I know this.
No
we need-
motions
we need one
allowed
for
at
a second.
workshops.
We don't
Thank
need a
you.
motion. Okay, well, have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you on Tuesday.
Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
time there. Soak
I
it up.
will.